Let me ask you about Oregon. Is Oregon ready for Big Ten play? Just style of play. Overwhelmingly, my gut says yes, but it is still a question because we've never seen them. We've never seen Oregon go play a game at Michigan. You know, that we haven't seen it. And so it is still a question no matter how much I believe. Like, I look at their offensive line. So they returned 3 linemen with double-digit games started. They went and got a transfer from Indiana. Matthew Bedford, experienced, very versatile. I think he plays 4 or 5 offensive line positions. They go too deep with 300-plus pounders. And I don't want to just gloss over that either. That's not the kind of stuff you say about West Coast teams. I'm in L.A. today, okay? They have got the fight of their lives on their hands at USC trying to get big bodies on the line of scrimmage. Dan Lanning is in that same fight, but he's been winning it up at Oregon. They've been doing what it takes to go outside the Pacific Northwest, find people who are extremely large human beings, and bring them up there. Because they know if we want to get where we want to get, we're going to have to play those teams. So we got to go take their players out of their backyard, convince them to come all the way up to Eugene, Oregon, which is halfway to Russia for some of these kids. And then we got to develop them, of course. Yeah, blah, blah, blah. You got to go get them first. You can't develop what you don't have, as Meemaw would say. So the defensive line got restocked. They lost, I think, their top 3 sack guys. But I think they refilled. I think they backfilled very, very well. The secondary, probably, if you had a question, there's the biggest question. But the big question when you're talking about style of play in the Big Ten is kind of the same way they talk in the South. Can you withstand the physical punishment of a conference schedule? Even though technically it still does qualify as a question for Oregon and will be until we see them go through it, I got to tell you guys, as much as maybe the preview magazine culture would suggest the West Coast teams could be in for a rude awakening, I don't believe in saying West Coast teams. Like, when in classificational terms, we're not talking about West Coast teams. You look at Oregon and you look at Washington or UCLA or USC, that's a different kind of team. Or, let me put it a different way. If I peeled the Oregon jerseys off of Oregon and I put LSU jerseys on Oregon, they would pass very well for some of the vintage LSU teams. The kind of LSU team that comes into your building and you've got 9th row, 45-yard line seats, and you're there with your dad, and you look, and the guys that aren't even playing look like monsters, look like aliens. Where do they find them? Well, they grow them in the South. Dan Lanning's gone and gotten a lot of them to the point where he has turned Oregon's roster into that. And my point there is, not only is Oregon prepared to survive and maybe even thrive in the Big Ten, they're prepared to win it. Outside of Ohio State, and including Ohio State, if we're talking O-line, frankly, this is one of the very few rosters in college football that's built to withstand that, thrive in it, and then possibly make some noise in the playoff.